most of you know already, there was a terribly tragic school shooting yesterday. I think it's only fitting that we recognize those parents of the students and the faculty members. I want to just assure the community that as a school district, we value your child's safety very, very much. And we make sure doors are locked, that classrooms are locked. We have SROs in our district, and we put your child's safety at the top of the list. And we are continuing to review those policies regularly, especially now, after yesterday's events. So if you would please, we're gonna take about 10 or 15 seconds to observe a moment of silence, and I would encourage you, think about the parents that children are not coming home. That is terribly tragic, so. All right, thank you for that time. Let me also say that we have counselors available. If any of your students exhibit any questions or have concerns and you want one of our school counselors to speak with them, we will be happy to make that available to you 24/7. You let one of us know and we will get in touch with those people for your kiddos. So, okay. Next item of business, we have some special recognitions. Dr. Kepler.
Thank you. We do have several special recognitions today, and we have an opportunity to recognize Skills USA and our teaching career students. I think I will have Mrs. Maloney here to recognize Skills USA. Thank you for that. While she's going to recognize our Washington High School students that are here today, we also have students from Borgia, from East Central College, from Pacific, St. Clair Union, and Wright City that have earned honors, as Mrs. Maloney is going to mention. And she's also going to share that we have one of our employees that is going to be recognized tonight that we're very excited about and honored. So thank you.
Do you want me to have the students?
Sure, absolutely. And if you would like, if you want to have students meet us right over there.
Okay. So, thank you. So, Skills USA is a student organization for CTE programs, kind of like some people are aware of FFA for ag. Okay, Skills USA is for our programming like machine tool and automotive technology, and it is there are leadership contests, and there are skills contests, and there is there's all kinds of activities that students can do to increase their involvement in their CTE curriculum, like community service, volunteer activities, things like that. So these students that I have here tonight, I have 3 here with me tonight, they participated in Skills USA at a high level at the state level. Fort Rivers Career Center students were first expected to compete at the district level, and sometimes in order to get to the district level, they had to do competitions within their classroom first. So they then participated at district level contests at either Rankin or St. Louis Community College at Forest Park, and they had to place at the first or second or third level in some of the contests. Then they went to state at State Technical College in Lynn, Missouri, where they took a medal. So, first of all, our PLTW engineering and machine tool classes worked together for the automated manufacturing contest. A team of 3 students, 2 of which are here tonight, 2 from Washington, 1 from Wright City, earned bronze medals. They are Darren Armfield and Sam Stewart. In our automotive class, we entered an East Central College student that also happens to work as a paraprofessional in our building in our Horizons program. And she earned a bronze in automotive service and a gold in technical spelling. for taking time to recognize these students. I appreciate it.
Any other board members that would like to get in a picture, you can join us. I'm gonna go stand up here and be as tall as them.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations.
I was thinking that's what you was. And then next up, we have Mrs. Mears that is going to highlight several of our students that are in her teaching careers class and some of the honors that they won as well.
So I'm really excited to introduce our students for this year. We have been a part of Educators Rising, which is our TSO in teaching careers, since 2016. And we have taken students to the state and national level every year, except for the past 2 years because of COVID. So this year was our first year we did state virtually, but we had 4 students who competed, and we had 4 students who placed and are able to compete at the national level. You guys want to come on and stand on up? I'm going to introduce you. One of our students couldn't be here with us tonight, but I do still want to give her a shout out because she competed in 2 events. Her name's Emma Locke. She's one of our graduating seniors who got 2nd place in her job interview competition, and then she got 1st place in her children's lit pre-K competition. And we had another student who wrote and illustrated her own children's book, presented it to our judges, and that's Abby Raker. She got 1st place in her K-3 children's book that she wrote, which was about celebrating, every student's differences and strengths. She also competed in 2 events. She was part of our teen competition. She worked with Lindsay Sprung, and she and Lindsay did the Ethical Dilemma competition, where they had to make a tough, critical choice, as teachers do. They had to look at a situation where a student was acting inappropriately, and as a teacher, how would you respond to it? How would you involve the parents? How would you have that conversation with the student and still maintain professional boundaries? They did a phenomenal job. If I remember correctly, ladies, you placed 1st in state, yeah. So I was pretty impressed because we've always placed in that competition, but we've never placed 1st. So I think they have a really good shot going to nationals. And then Jess is also, Jessica Steelman competed in the Exploring Non-Core competition. She actually shadowed the band director at Washington High School, spent 8 hours just kind of getting to see the behind the scenes of what he did. And so working with Mr. Alloway, she put together a presentation that she wrote up and then presented virtually, and she got 2nd in state for that as well. So they will actually be going with me June 24th through the 27th to Washington, D.C., where we'll be competing at the national level, all 3 of these ladies, and I am really excited to take them and see how they do.
Mrs. Mears, you get to join us. Oh, okay. I think we had Mrs. Maloney join us in the picture. She got out of that one. Oh, okay.
Great job to all of you. I'm impressed. Okay. The next item is approval of the agenda. I assume everyone has looked at it. Do I have a motion for that?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Our agenda is approved. We have no public comments this evening. So our next item is the school spotlight from Washington West. Ms. Hunt and Mrs. Leslie are here for that.
Good evening. Thank sell their items, price their items, take the orders, fill the orders. On Fridays, we love it, they bring us coffee and goodies all the time, so I hope you enjoyed our cafe. It's kind of cool because it kind of keeps going up all through high school, so it's neat to see. The other thing we really wanted to kind of highlight was our house system. And we're always looking for ways to increase student autonomy within our building, and this was kind of our next move. Unfortunately, we kind of wanted to put this place a couple years ago when COVID hit, and we couldn't do a lot of the activities that we wanted to do. So we'll kind of highlight what we've done, highlight why we do it, and then kind of give you our next steps in it. So our whole house system is to build a culture of belonging and a school-wide community, and giving the students a voice in the autonomy and what happens in the school. We do a lot of shared leadership within the building and the teachers themselves. Now we want to go to the next level. We want to get the kids into it. So we do have a couple of things up on the screen, and I'm not going to read word for word as you can go back there, but I want to highlight a couple of things. So shared leadership within the students is probably our next big step. And within that, we want to do mentoring, and we want to do shared, service learning projects for the school. So what will happen next year is we have 4 houses. If you could go down a little bit. Yeah, right there. We have 4 houses, green, red, blue, and black, and it's Alturismo, Isabindi, Revere, and Amistad. And what they do is each student is randomly put into a house at the beginning of the year. Next year, they stay in their houses until they leave us. Kindergarten will be the ones that are put in for next year. So if you look on your tables, everybody has a blue container. If you open up your blue container, that will tell you what house you will be in when you come. So, green is Isabindi. If you could go down one more.
Oh, yes, sorry, I was looking at what need I was.
It's okay. Actually, one more, sorry. So our houses represent, so the house of Isabindi is the house of green, and it's the house of courage. And they're proud, courageous, strategic, and creative. Alturismo is our black house. They are the house of givers. Caring about others, uplifting others, knowing where they get their power, their teamwork, and competitiveness. Amistad, who's the best house, is the house of friendship. Kindness of heart, intelligent, creative, and friendly. And then Revere is the blue house, and they're the house of dreamers. So not letting anything stand in their way when they set their goals. So as the kids are put into houses, the whole premise is for the kids to then meet in their house, and then they divide up into families. And when they divide up into families, they then plan and execute what they want the whole school to do. So next year, as a matter of fact, tomorrow we'll see who the winning house is, because they do competitive points. And I apologize, the link did not make it onto, I thought you were going to use the Google. So I will send you the links, because we have a point house system that they get in the classroom and in any competitions. So throughout the whole year, our winning house right now has 9,300 and something points, 23 I think. And if you want to know who wins, you have to come to school tomorrow at 9 o'clock and come to the assembly. And then they will have a big house party. So tomorrow when they're having their house party, the rest of the students will be getting into their houses and understanding what's going to happen next year. Each house is going to identify a service learning project that they want to develop and get the whole school involved. So each quarter, one house will do it, and it could be the Humane Society, it could be Loving Hearts, it could be anything that they choose that they want to do to help the community and to do a service learning project. So they're going to be working on that. We will continue to do house competitions. Next year, we also want to do mentoring. We weren't able to do that, not only teacher-to-student mentoring, but student-to-student mentoring within the houses. That could look different. That could look like buddies. It could look like a sixth grader helping a kindergartner. It could look like a first grader helping a first grader. Whatever the kids are going to need is what we really want to be able to focus on. And then again, our service learning projects. We have 50 Blue Jay codes. And there's a link all these codes. And some of them are very basic. It's making eye contact. As when you introduce yourself, you shake their hand. Saying please and thank you. Answering yes and no questions. Looking them in the eye. Taking no for an answer. Being a good sport when you lose. Encouraging those who are down. Encouraging those that are winning. Congratulate those. Some have consequences attached to them. Some do not. The ones that do are the typical disciplinary actions that we do all the time. So I'll send those to you, but we teach those every day. And at the beginning of the year, we do a mass teaching, and then we try to hit on them as we go. So as we meet tomorrow in our houses, we'll be looking at code 3, which is making eye contact, and code 30, which is being a friend, creating a friend, and starting new friendships. So we want all these codes to mean something, and they're everyday life manners that we feel that the kids have to have, that they need to practice, but they also need to be taught and they need to be modeled. So as we kind of go through everything, here are just some pictures of some of the competitions that we had throughout the year. We actually just put points on a board, and if they spun it, you can tell the itty-bitties all in green. If they landed on their green, whatever point system they got, that's what they were awarded. So that was a lot of competition in the hallways, but it was fun. This was some of the same thing. We also did tic-tac-toe, where the kids had to race and put flags to do tic-tac-toe. And if they ran out of flags, and it was a relay race, so they had to go back and forth and try to get tic-tac-toe. The first competition we did, we had random points that were assigned. The latest one that they did, which we do not have photos up here, is they did Hungry Hungry Hippo. So each student got on a scooter board, somebody had their feet, they had a basket, and there was balls in the pile, and the kids went up, scooped the balls, and the kids pulled them back. And on those balls, there was point systems. So they just had a lot of fun doing that. The points that they can earn in the classroom, turning assignments, being there on time, not being late, it's all embedded into everything that we do already. So hopefully within the house system, Joe and Roxanne did visit Ron Clark. They know where we're at, they know where the next steps are, and we feel very confident with the staff and with them that they'll continue. So, with your houses, each of you will get a shirt. So anytime you come to the building and you represent your house, you will give your house points. So keep it in your rig, keep it in your car, truck, whatever you want to call it. Keep it in there, and when you come in, just flip it on, and then when you're done, just take it off and leave it back in there. So we welcome you to come in. If you want to come and watch a little bit of fun tomorrow morning about 9 o'clock, please come on in. Any questions?
Kim, have you noticed any,
Oh, you get to go to elementary, right? I
have you noticed any change in your discipline or referrals or anything because of this? Has it made a difference as far as that kind of thing?
No, not that we can tell right now, but we weren't able to put the houses in place like we wanted to because of COVID. We couldn't have those large gatherings. We couldn't have the large teachings in the houses and in the house families. So yes, that is what we want to do. We want to be able to see that discipline go down, but I will be honest with you, our discipline is not that high. The biggest discipline except for today, let me tell you, today was off the charts. Our biggest one is disrespect, conduct or interrupting the classroom. But yes, that is what we track. So when they get a minor or a consequence, they get a minor. If they get 3 minors, that goes into a major. So I know that's.
Really, I don't know.
I know.
And then on the same note, have you noticed has it increased academically? Decreased discipline, has it helped increase your academic performance that you're aware of? Is there
Not that
any goal in there for that?
It is, and that is part of it. It's embedded into the school so the kids want to be there. They want to have that shared leadership. They want to have the goal setting, not only for them, but for their house. So no, again, we've not seen the big picture just yet, and I think a lot of that is because we just haven't been able to really implement the way we wanted to the past couple of years. So
That's something you can track.
The achievement, yes. As a matter of fact, I can tell you, when they're taking the interim, benchmark test, they look at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, and the kids that make growth have gotten 15 points for their house. So they do track it that way.
If you just master them soft skills.
I have 2 days left, I'll try.
Yes, congratulations, a little early on your retirement. I'm also excited to know that it's a weekly thing, so the kids wear their shirts and it's reinforced weekly. That's
And
great
our
to
house day,
see.
I think it's Wednesday,
Yeah.
we wear their house shirts, Wednesdays and donuts, that's how we try to feed the kids. Wednesdays donuts day, so it's house shirts and donuts. Hopefully they'll, I don't know if donuts will be there next year, but try to get it. Anyway, think about it.
You've set the bar.
Any questions for Ms. Hunt?
Or
Does what, does black give me power over Dan?
I was gonna say, is Bindi and altruismo mixed, because we live at the same house?
I'll let you all battle that.
And Ms. Hunt, I will say on behalf of myself and the school district, we have appreciated you and your hard work at West, and you, and I'll say my wife, I'm sure will be sorely missed. And thank you for your service for so many years.
Thank you very much, and on a personal note, thank you, this is a phenomenal district. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. It's bittersweet, but it's time. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, we have a food service report from Mrs. Petzel.
Yes, we're having donuts next year. That's Wednesday, it's donut day. I actually, on Wednesday, yes, I actually dared to change it to a different day one day, 1 month this week, this past school year. And all the managers emailed and called me and said, Wednesday is donut day, you cannot move it to a different day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. You're right, you cannot move donut, and they're whole grain, they're really good for you too. So yes. So food service has had a lot of changes, obviously, in the last couple of years with COVID. So the biggest one, obviously, is 2 years ago, we were delivering meals on buses. We were delivering meals from West, Marthasville, Clearview. We had pickups. We also did that last summer. We're not doing that anymore. A lot of our cost, obviously, is a lot different now because we had a lot of disposables because of COVID. So hopefully that's coming back down. By mid-year, all of our schools were using, back to using real trays. So that was really good. So the foam, everybody was happy about that. So we've really been trying to get back to those cost-cutting features. One of the biggest things with food service is our equipment. Our equipment is all really old. Most of our things are 30 plus. 6, 7 years ago, we replaced the dishwasher at the high school. Obviously, we have all new at South Point, and that's kind of a model school and kitchen. If you haven't been through it, it's pretty amazing. Through the kitchen, it's pretty amazing. So a lot of the staff has gone through it from other schools, and they're like, "Wow!" I'm like, "Yes, I know, it's great, exactly." So when I foresee things like those are the things. Right now, what happens is we have a great maintenance crew, and they put things back together for us. So, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. So, right now, I'm in the process of doing an upgrading system, the worst to the best, and put that on a schedule. And that's the biggest thing. Unfortunately, free and reduced, we're down to 19%, I think, for our district. I was applying 10 years ago, and we were about 35. And so at 35, we didn't qualify for any grants, anything like that. So unfortunately, that's just the thing. You have to be kind of right at 50% is what I found, is when I've talked to people and said, like, did this application, where do we need to be? 50% is kind of the key. So obviously, we've done some extra things, and we have the application out there where we can't process them until July 1st. But we're hoping to get a lot of applications in, and we're trying to head that off. The other big thing is obviously our income has been greater. Last year, we only got $3.50 a meal for lunches. This year, it's $4.39 for all of our free. That's going away is what they tell us right now. So like I said, that's where we started to move towards trying to get rid of the disposables, the foam, the cutlery, all that, the throwaway stuff, so that we can cut costs in that area. And if you go to the grocery store, you obviously know food costs are up. And so right now, next month, I will have a proposal to you about school meal prices, because I know they have to go up. I just have to do a cost analysis for every item. That's the biggest thing. And I haven't had time to do that this year with subbing and everything like that. So that's the main thing. I will have that to you by next month. Also training, obviously that's a big deal for us. We do participate in ServSafe Managers Program. All of our employees take that. Unfortunately, not everybody passes, but we have to have at least one person in each kitchen that has passed. I am going to move also to ServSafe Food Handlers class. And I think that'd be a little bit easier for the people that aren't managers. So the managers will continue in the ServSafe, where it's a little bit harder program, and then the rest of the employees will do the food handlers, which is good. So that's really, we're up 35,000 lunches this year. It's been big. Of course, I'm worried about debt going, starting, students starting to collect debt again. Right now, I'm in the process, obviously, that we're trying to get everything collected. We've been doing that for 2 years, even though it's been free. We've been sending emails, phone calls, trying to get people to at least put $5 a month, if they owe a big debt. So those are the main highlights. The other thing is to increase participation. And probably 6 or 7 years ago, we went to, I looked at our numbers to see what were the most, the highest participation days, and we serve those. So we do a 2-week menu cycle and try and use the items we have in the freezer. So, and our commodity items, and we use those for more than one thing. And so that's really the main thing in trying to be cost effective as well. So the other thing is that we obviously serve a lot of fresh fruits, vegetables, all of that stuff, and we have beautiful food. So if you've never been in, please come in anytime, just pop in and see our food. It's really beautiful. And I know the kids really love it, so. Do you have any questions?
Jill, do you know what percentage, how many breakfasts did you guys serve? Do you know that?
A month, or like just for the,
Yeah.
right now, we are at,
Is it on the sheet that I have up?
yes, yeah.
And-
We're at, yes, 122,500.
And I think one thing to keep in mind is, with free and reduced going away and having to go through the application process again, you've got parents and families within the school district that are going to be paying for lunches and possibly breakfast if the kids have gotten used to that. So that's an added cost. You've got $5 a gallon gas, and you've got $200 more a month at the grocery store for a family. So I think if we can do anything to assist, that would be a great thing.
I think you're right. I absolutely, to be honest, I've already received emails from families, asking if do you think they're gonna, because it's really been a great thing for them and working families, and their kids are used to eating. So obviously, that's where, it's like I said, we can cut down the foam and all those disposable items that we're paying for right now, that's a huge thing. Get rid of that cost so we can keep it in the food, because in the last 2 years, that's what we've had to do. I don't see like going away, we used to put our big fruit trays out, all in the cups, and it wasn't covered. I don't ever see that going away. I know people have asked me that, but obviously we just want to be cost neutral. We're not trying to make money. That's the biggest thing. That's not what we're ever trying to do. Even when different departments order food, we just charge them cost. That's all we do. We don't try and make money. That's not where we're at. We're just trying to be cost neutral and cover our costs. So, absolutely.
Couple
Yes,
questions.
sure.
What's the current debt that is carried for people who still owe outstanding amounts?
Well, so, I just ran a report about a month ago, I believe, yeah, and it was about $12,000.
Okay.
And it was it wasn't a lot of students.
It was how much, Joe? I'm sorry, did you?
About $12,000, yes. So, and that was $50 an hour, that owed more than $50. So I didn't run it for, a lot of people, since meals have been free, they haven't been putting money on, they might owe $20, $25, so kind of did that $50 threshold.
Right.
We don't refuse any kids, that's the thing, even if they're paid, I'm not, I'm just not gonna do it, I just can't do it, especially at elementary school, you take the tray and you throw it in the trash. I mean, and then give them a cheese sandwich, we would never, that was our policy actually when I started 10 plus years ago, and, we couldn't do it, I can't do that.
Right.
And you're throwing it away and then giving them that, and then the child's crying and they're upset, and it just, can't do it, so.
Yeah. And you said cost neutral, I appreciate that. Are there different prices for staff versus students?
There is, but we don't get any compensation. So like I said, we get $4.39 per meal, this year. Last year was $3.50. And then once we go back to pay free reduced, it's different for each, at one point, I think we got 28 cents for a full price meal. So that's why knowing my costs are so important.
Right.
And then we get the difference between a free, so if it's let's say it's $3.50 for the cost of a meal for a student, let's say we were charging $3.50, we would get whatever, if we're charging 40 cents, we would get $3.10. Okay, to equal that. So it's all different, but yes, that's basically.
So I'm not understanding the difference.
Okay.
If it's the same tray for staff than it is for
Because we
students.
get extra money. So we charge $3.50, I'm still even getting, for a pay student, I don't, obviously the last 2 years it hasn't been, everything's been free. So even for a pay student, for a lunch, I would get 28 cents from the USDA, from the federal government, per meal. So I get no compensation. So in my cost effectiveness, I can look at that and say, well, if the cost was $3.50, I'm actually getting $3.88. If I'm getting that extra, $3.78. If I'm getting that 28 cents. So all I do is look at that. So with that compensation, we're trying to. Does that make sense? I'm probably
I think
not
I'm
explaining
hearing
it
it
right.
right, that you're just trying to keep those costs so close, and part of that is you get subsidized or money from the government on that. I'm just thinking same tray, trying to make sure that teachers are treated right.
Well, it's $3.25 for a full meal. You get a fruit, vegetable, entree, milk, and what am I missing? Grain.
Right.
So you could not go anywhere in town for $3.25.
But still, it's the same. I'm just trying to get my
It
head
is, but
around.
I get more money from the federal government for, again, I'm getting $4.39, even though I'm only charging this year $3.25.
Okay.
I'm getting $4.39 for every student meal this year.
Okay.
But I'm only charging $3.25 for a teacher meal this year.
All right, that provides some info. Thanks.
I can go to I'm getting points for, the exact amount is $12,512.41. The lowest is $51.20, and the highest is $928.50. How many points do we get?
45.
If you can have that one, you get a lot of points. All right, any other questions or comments for Mrs. Spencer? I was amazed at the amount of food you ordered. I was looking at it last night with my wife, going, oh my gosh, look at all this food.
How are you doing staff-wise? Are you able to retain your staff?
About a month ago, I'm fully staffed except for one floater position, about a month ago. So I've been working in all the kitchens. Yeah. So finally, I am, and then I have some people leaving this year. So I think I have 3 positions open right now. So I will jump in and say that the majority of this year, Jill is in kitchens, serving, helping in the back room, whatever it is that she needs to be doing. We rarely see her because she's helping out with staff. So to be fully staffed or to have her as fully staffed as possible is so very important.
Like substitute student, that's an issue, I'm assuming.
It is. I have, 3 subs that, and I have 1 permanent floater. So I have three, and then actually I have 1 lady that works ever so often, so maybe 4, but you don't know that she really counts, so, yeah.
Jill, I will say, I do appreciate learning on some of those consent items. As I spoke with staff, learning through that 7.10 milk and food, those that we're gonna discuss later in the meeting. I appreciate knowing that all of the RFPs for the food process to actually submit an RFP is rather rigorous. And you have to actually submit things through a different platform. And a part of that requirement was that any data housed regarding food and those who are maybe subsidized or receive free and reduced pricing, that all that data is actually housed in the United States on servers in the US. And I understand that's very unusual for a school district, so I appreciate that that was put into place some time ago to protect our families.
Right.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you, Ms. Ivas.
Thank you.
Our next item is professional development, Mrs. Anderson.
Good evening. I'm going to be brief tonight as I talk about my session. All right. So in future years, I've been in conversations with the PD committee all year, and it's a teacher-led committee, and they're taking more and more of an active role. So next year when I'm standing up here, the PD chair will potentially co-present with me. She was unavailable tonight, but in future years, hopefully, she will be up here with, he or she will be up here with me. This upcoming year is Candace Kluba. Again, she is currently the PD president, so our chair of the committee. So some goals we have this year, or some of the highlights, was the PLC reboot, which all buildings took part in this year. And we are going to keep a consistent theme and continue to carry that throughout future years. One thing we heard is, can we not shift constantly? And the PLC process kind of ties everything we do together. It's the way we do things, not one more thing. So we will continue to have time built into PD days for that. Staff also really like choice sessions, so we will continue to have that. PD funds, the 1% set aside, will continue to be spent primarily on professional development grants that teachers submit. They have a cap of $500, and they can submit a grant to attend a conference of their choosing for up to $500. So that was a need that the staff felt was pretty important to continue to spend the 1% money that way. And then we will continually gather feedback and try to improve upon our professional development practices throughout the year. You will see on the next several slides just PD survey results. We send out a survey every year to gather feedback. About 25% of our staff completed the survey, which is pretty typical of a survey. And the survey results you will see on the following slides. We'll just kind of roll through them quickly, but they did say that teachers preferred choice sessions. And with that, we will have both internal and external presenters. We are very fortunate to have a very skilled staff with advanced degrees and training that are willing to present their expertise with their colleagues, which is really important to learn from each other. So we have already about 50 sessions lined up for next year that teachers will be presenting next year. It's going to be presented in like a series. So the PD committee agreed to or voted to have a stipend for preparing for these PD meetings. And so any teacher that's willing to present will get a $25 stipend to pay for their hour of plan time for these sessions. And the PD sessions will build upon each other throughout the year and keep a PLC focus. So again, currently we are up to 100 people that have completed. We did a follow-up survey to gain. We heard they wanted choice sessions, but then we wanted more guidance. Like, what exactly do you need? And so we had about 33% of the certified staff respond to that. So we were able to gain ideas on the session. So we presenters that have expertise in some of the areas that were requested, as well as have some external presenters coming in to present. So with that, on the last slide, you have the PD committee. We do try to get representation from, oh, I forwarded way ahead. Are you? No, you're good. Another thing I did not highlight was that, or I think I did highlight that the individual grant staff really preferred to be able to spend their 1% money that way and have some choice into what they attend. And currently that money is $39,000 roughly. It's at the top of the professional development topics we attended this year that you have seen before, I believe, and it's also an attachment in the board documents, but I tried to list just a snapshot of some of the professional development that was attended throughout the year, and I tried to put it in headings kind of by category to an extent. You also noticed the PD handbook that we've talked about throughout the year. Really, there were very minimal changes to that. Some things just included the PD committee being more involved in professional development days, helping with setup and preparing for those days, and making sure surveys go out after so we can continue to improve upon what we're doing. So, any questions on professional development?
I have a question, Mrs. Anderson. On the fund utilization by respondent, it's the green outside. Did you utilize PD funds to attend a conference outside the district? And 80% said no. Do you think that's because there are not conferences that apply to their teaching field?
Well, no, not really, because there's
It's the funding.
It's what?
A lot of it's the funding. So
Okay.
our 1% is based on our, I'm sorry.
no, I don't know.
Okay.
Our 1% is based on our state formula payment, and because we're so locally funded, it's very, very small. I received 1% in Salem is larger than it is here. So the amount per teacher is very small. That's a lot of it.
Were you asking as to why they didn't attend?
I was curious as to if they didn't attend because there wasn't relevant workshops, or did they not attend because they just didn't want to go?
There's a variety of reasons, and that was a follow-up question, but some of it had to do with, just getting back into the swing of things. COVID had a lot of people out. It's also very difficult as a teacher. I'm speaking from my days in the classroom. It is very hard to be out of the classroom. So that is another factor that takes some teachers out of wanting to attend, plus if they have children of their own. Sometimes it's just difficult to go to conferences. And the $500 limit, we have discussed if we want to up that, but as John said, we currently, our allocation for this year was $39,000. I've tried not to deny any requests, but $500 does not go very far.
And do they, and this may be a question for Dr. Friesen, if a teacher misses a day for a conference, that's not a personal day, that's...
No, it's a professional day. They are not having a pay doc or anything counted against their days or anything like that.
Thank you.
So, to try and increase the number of responses, can the teachers and staff, can they look at the survey before, because I know some people don't want to expose themselves when they answer something or something like that. Some of them may feel that they are going to be identified through their survey response. Can they see the actual survey before they take it, or and then go take it so they know what the questions are going to be, and that they're not going to have to identify themselves?
This was anonymous. Actually, the questions asked, part of the follow-up survey was we asked a lot of yes/no questions and then gathered some additional feedback. And then in the separate email or survey that went out, we did it through Google Forms, the committee did. We had to actually specifically ask, what is your name, so we could attach it to the session. So it is all anonymous.
But I'm just wondering, do they know it's anonymous before they link into it and start answering? That's my question, I guess.
I'm trying to think of how, when Ms. Kluba sent it out, if she sent it or who sent it out. I can't remember if I sent it district-wide or she did. I believe she did. I can't remember if we stated. Usually we try to state we're not, but And on top of Google, it says we're not collecting, if you do it anonymous, it says we're not collecting this information. And on Google, we can't go back to see who's filling out the forms.
I just wanted to see if we can get some more, more responses from.
Our hope is the survey was filled out a little bit before, it was still spring, but it was a little bit before our staff satisfaction survey. Because the staff satisfaction survey was so well filled out, that from our staff, my hope is that now that we are responding to the survey, then that they see surveys from us really do make a difference, and they do impact the work that we're doing, either from a PD committee, from a district-wide committee, from us as a leadership team. So hopefully what they'll see is, I want to fill this out because action really does happen. It's not just a fill out to fill out.
And I think oftentimes you find if people are really angry or really happy, they fill things out a lot. And I do think that we are very appreciative of those that fill out, and we try to use the information we gain from the people that do fill out the forms, but.
I would say, in my experience filling out Google form surveys from the district, you cannot, it doesn't allow you to view the whole survey. So you really have no idea how long it is, and there's no completion bar across the top. In my experience, I don't know that that's possible with Google Forms, although we've started to use a new survey tool. Does that answer your question, Kevin?
Yeah, I was just wondering if we get some more responses.
So you can't scroll down and
that's
see
what-
the questions. I'm trying to think, I thought I
can
could
only
scroll down
see-
and see until I.
You can only see 3 at a time,
Oh.
and so once you finish that,
I'm trying to
then
think back, I fill them out all the time, and I've never.
then you're kind of oh, there's another page, oh, and there's another page, so you really can only see so far. I'm not sure if you filled out other surveys that have a status bar
Yeah,
kind of
for
across
sure,
the top.
yes.
It
I'll pay
doesn't
more
have
attention.
that,
I guess I just haven't paid attention.
I don't think it has that capability.
Okay, I will check into that and see.
Thank you, I just try to get more responses. One more input.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Also, sorry, I was trying to wait my turn, I wasn't doing a very good job there. When you're talking about professional development, and then later on, the handbook is being addressed in the consent items, so I love the notion to include a representative from all schools.
We have tried to do that for years. I actually followed up on that. I know at our last meeting, it was again stated that we would like a representative from each school.
Right,
And in follow-up with Ms. Kluba, she said that's been what we've tried to do every year,
right,
so. we
So
do
that
try to get
remains,
representation. Absolutely.
right, that remains, and I was glad to see that, because, there's a bit of conversation that happens before these board meetings, so we kind of check on some of those things, so I appreciate that, and I would love to see that MTSS addressed, and also looking for a lot of phonics training for our teachers in those professional development days, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Henderson. Next is the FSBA monthly board report. I think that's available for you to review. Any comments anybody wants to make? Okay. Our next item is the board meeting schedule. This was brought up last month about changing our board meeting days to Tuesday instead of Wednesday. There is some information in here about the proposed dates. And I thought there was some information about. Okay, I knew I saw it somewhere. On the Thursday update about how many events are on different nights of the week. It's not an item on for action, but is there any discussion about this evening?
Dr. Kephart, could you review the Thursday update that was shared as we were talking about taking a look at conflicts that perhaps exist in the district for Wednesday night board meetings versus Tuesday night?
Sure, I'll be happy to kind of highlight a little bit that I appreciate Craig's research in some of our fall sports, and then again, winter sports and spring sports. So as far as just sports, we knew we could collect that data pretty easily this year. So just sports at the high school, so here's the conclusion that we wrote. If you go to Washington High School on a Tuesday night during the school year, chances are there's going to be some type of event going on, sometimes more than one. There are also Wednesday events at times, but not as frequently as Tuesdays. So we know that in the fall, softball, volleyball, and boys boys soccer is played on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Swim meets are scattered, but some of them, 2 of them were on Wednesdays this week, or this year. Girls golf is on Tuesdays, and cross-country meets are on Tuesdays and Saturdays. There was one on Thursday, one on Friday, but nothing on Wednesday. And some of that is mission-related, so some of that isn't even anything we can change, and our schedule for sports is already set for next year with teams. As far as winter sports, boys and girls basketball, they really play throughout, but primarily on Tuesdays and Fridays. There are also games throughout. Varsity boys tournaments are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and there are some games on Monday. Boys wrestling, home meets have been Wednesdays twice, Thursdays twice, Fridays once, and Tuesdays twice. So really that's, I would say, pretty even. Girls wrestling meets Wednesdays, Thursday, Friday. Girls swimming is on Wednesdays primarily, but there were several on Tuesday and Friday, and Thursday and Saturday. Then when we get to spring, certainly track season is our biggest for spring. If we look at track, it is usually on Wednesdays, but we have hosted a meet on a Tuesday, and we know Union Relays is always on a Tuesday. Meets are usually on Saturday. Baseball is combined. They often play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Non-conference games, however, are Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Boys golf is usually on Monday. Girls soccer, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we also looked at some of our events. So we did have choir performance on Thursday and Saturday evenings. Orchestra was on a Wednesday night. Band director, they normally schedule Tuesday and Thursday evenings, as well as football games. National Honor Society was on a Monday night, senior night. Some of those awards at the end of the year, as you all well know, is crazy anyway. Battle of the Books this year was on a Thursday night, and Math Madness was on a Tuesday night. So just as a big picture overview, what we did look at is if we just took, now this gets to be a little confusing if I say it, but if we just took a comparison of our February, March, and April meetings of this year. So our February meeting was on the 23rd, there were 0 events. If we moved that to the 22nd of February, so that was the Tuesday night, there were 7 events. In March, we met on the 30th, there was 1 event. 29th, which is the Tuesday, there were 5 events. In April, we met on the 27th, there were 3 events. If we had met on the Tuesday, there were 6 events. So that's just a comparison of 3 of our more regular months, I would say, in the school year.
Any other comments, questions?
I appreciate that recap. I know we had the opportunity to read that as a board. It's important to me that all parents would be able to attend. And while I know that parents try to make every effort to participate in board meetings and attend if possible, I'd like to make a motion that we would move the board meetings to Tuesday night to allow in particular those that consider religious education and Wednesday night church programs important, that they would be able to participate in the board meetings.
I just want to add something. I will tell you, I'll probably make 2 board meetings for the rest of the year if we go to Tuesday. Not that that means anything to you guys, but I will.
Well, we enjoy your participation, and I think it's very beneficial, Christopher.
I don't want that to be
Well, certainly a factor.
it's just a conflict for me, but
Right.
whatever you guys decide to do.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Let's discuss it just a little bit more. Is it possibly to look at maybe doing alternating a few Tuesday, Wednesdays to see if there's a difference in the month? Would that be too confusing? I'm just trying to think of ideas to see if this would actually be something that we would get more parent involvement on a Tuesday night versus a Wednesday night if they want to be here. I understand the concerns about Wednesday. I don't really have an issue either way. And as far, I'd like to hear more board members on what they think on it also.
I'm going to pull a little Robert's Rule of Order. We have a motion, we need a second, or it's dying in the water, which would mean there isn't any more discussion. Is there any second not, then that motion is, sorry, Mrs. Brickman. Okay, so we did not get a second on a Tuesday night. Do I have a motion to remain on Wednesday night?
I'd make that motion.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Since it's open, can we talk the Tuesday issue, even though it's not on Wednesday?
Sure.
And my biggest concern would be, I get confused enough if you alternate it, so that would be, is there, and I'm asking this question because I don't know, is there an issue with parents not being able to make it because it's Wednesday? Or is there an issue, and would moving it to a Tuesday, is it because of church services? I understand, but is that the biggest reason? Is it a large enough reason, is my question?
That's what I've heard from parents. Me personally, I have a conflict every single third Wednesday of the month, but my family can work around that.
Okay, because I know this, like I talked to you about earlier, it was brought up years ago, and they had this conflict way back in the.
Frank, we're not getting your
Good,
microphone.
I really don't want people to hear me.
Okay.
I know they brought this up years ago when they first moved to a Wednesday night, way long time ago, generations ago, but, my feeling is it would be one, and I know yours is special because it's every third Wednesday, but, it would only be one Wednesday, and if parents did want to make it, I think that would be, we're trying to make it as convenient as possible, so that's why I'm leaning toward the Wednesday, so. But my question was, if there is a groundswell for that, then we need to look at it, and I haven't heard that, so.
I would ask the past board members to close their eyes and think about Wednesday nights the past 2 years. When there is an issue that parents want to make a stand about, they are able to be here. When their kids are recognized on a Wednesday night, they are able to be here. And being here, as we've said, is not the only way that you can communicate with the Board of Education. But when they want to make a statement, they are here, and they are able to get here.
Is there any way that we can send out a survey, maybe to get some actual comments back from our parents, just to see if next year maybe we should revisit this, to see if it would, have some form of value, maybe communicate to them that we're thinking about it, or?
That is certainly something we can look into. I will tell you that our parent survey that just went out, numbers will be in our Thursday update. We did not have a very good turnout at all. So less than, I think we're at about 6% of our parents that actually filled out the survey. So there's some other factors that we're trying to work through, knowing if the email was from us or from Scantron. So there's some of those factors, but we didn't get the turnout of information. So maybe those would, and that would be a little bit different.
And I would say as a parent, I appreciate that and wanting to hear from parents, but there's been quite a few surveys this year. And because we value parent input, so I don't want to dilute that effort. And it may be a case, Kevin, that even parents approach any board member or staff after this and express further concerns. So it was important to some of the parents that I spoke with, and so that's why I brought it up. So I appreciate you going to such lengths to look at it, and I'm fine being the minority in that.
That's why you get paid the big bucks, right?
That's right, yep.
Any other discussion on that? Do we have a motion and a second? All those in favor of keeping the board meetings on Wednesday night, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say that now.
Aye.
One opposed, the motion carries. Will remain on Wednesday evening, and there is a schedule in the board meeting agenda, so you can get those on the calendar ahead of time. Student Representative, Mr. Freitag. Did I say that correctly tonight? All right. I apologize, I've been calling you Mr. Freitag, and I know that is incorrect, so it's
all good. So I had the pleasure of visiting South Point Elementary School this month, and all I can say is what a school. That is an amazing school, amazing staff, amazing students, amazing principals. I was blown away. The first thing I want to highlight is the teacher-student connection, like I do in all of my presentations. It's really, you can really sense it, and they're buying together, they have a trusted adult to go to. Also, what South Point has this thing called the Positivity Tree, and it started out as a Christmas tree, but then it grew into a South Point tradition. It promotes joy, school spirit, and recognition, and I had the pleasure of shadowing classes like I normally do, and a third grade boy told me that he wanted a blue jay on the tree, and the blue jay is basically a recognition about a student and how they are helping South Point school spirit. Another thing that I found very cool was the book vending machine. So this is located in the upstairs, and it encourages active reading and makes reading fun for the students. Also, I saw a student get a Magic Tree book, a Magic Treehouse book, which is a kind of longer book for elementary school, and his eyes lit up when it came down with the candy bar, and he was just really happy. It's also a reward system because it gets this token, they put it in the system, and they get a book. So another thing I found very, very cool about South Point was its counseling facilities and motor room. So Dr. Clark, I had the pleasure to talk to her. She's an outstanding woman, and she does great work for South Point. So the motor room builds core muscles. They have 11 different activities that students do. This is mainly for the little guys, so kindergarten, first grade. And it is just to strengthen their core and get them aware of their body, like their movements, make sure they're not hitting people and stuff along those lines. Also, one thing I found very interesting about South Point is their mental health / counseling room. So in that room, it was a cool down room for students that needed it. If students had a rough day and they just want to chill out, cool down, they can go there, take a breather, and then go back to class. It is also a safe space for students, and like any counseling program, there are specialized plans for a student that needs it. Another thing I would like to highlight is, if I could describe South Point in 3 words, it would be innovative, modern, and functional. One item that really stuck out to me was the collaboratory spaces between the grade levels. So you have first grade and second grade next to each other, and in that space in between was the space where students can do work. There's flexible seating, but also students can see each other, make those connections, find a friend from a different grade, and grow. Also the inquiry projects. So something very unique about South Point is their inquiry projects. So the administration basically tasked every teacher to do something that involves an engineering process. And I got to see kindergartners make an indoor playground. So they go through the building, planning, and testing of their projects, and I'm pretty sure they tested it in the cafeteria, if I'm not wrong, and it was pretty outstanding. And then second grade did table games. Another thing that was pretty cool about South Point was their safety. It's a very safe school. In the cafeteria, the windows are raised above to get that natural light, also keep the students safe. And also, the building is positioned in a way where students are away from that main lobby. So if anything would happen, which hopefully not, but students would be safe. Another thing I'd like to talk about is South Point hosts students from around the district and area that have severe autism. Because South Point got an ability to have more room and space and resources for these students, and they have 2 sensory rooms in South Point, which is very cool. I got to go into one and had a glow tank with fish in it, and it was pretty cool. When I visited South Point, they were getting silk chairs for students so they can have fun, have that sense of belonging, but yet stay comfortable. The principals at South Point do wonderful things, including these students into the building, whether that is them walking around the halls and building, waving, smiling at other kids and staff, or just promoting school spirit. South Point does a wonderful job including every single student in their everyday activities, and I really would like to thank Ms. Hardy and Ms. Trentman for what they do, because it's amazing, and they're amazing principals, and South Point is a big giant family, and you can really see that when you walk through the halls. Do you have any comments, questions at all?
Can you talk a little bit about that autism wing? Because I think that that's a tough thing to integrate those kids into the regular school day. And how do they do that?
Of course. So the wing is a little bit separate from the building, but the students can mingle throughout the building. As always, they have a kitchen space. They have a laundry and dryer, I'm pretty sure, that came in, and it's just learning those life skills that the students can bring on throughout their secondary and adulthood, which is very important. And they waved at me. They said hi. They're just very kind, and I would love to go back.
I remember during the tour, they have separate libraries based on that particular age group, and then they have a library, like the main school library. So how many areas for reading are there? I kind of lost track.
And I think
Pod, yeah.
oh, the picture that's on the screen. So the library pod, so there would be 1, 2, 3 of them, but 6 because of each grade level.
In addition to the library.
In addition to the library, correct.
That's great to see.
Any questions, comments, or?
What's next month?
So
Because everybody's out of school.
school's kind of out, so I might do a 6-month report since it's halfway through my term, and then in July I'm beginning summer school.
Okay. Something else, Dan? All right, thank you. Matthew. Okay. Upcoming meetings and events, there are several listed. Let me talk about graduation. That's tomorrow evening. The decision will be made at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Did I miss something?
No, we're just hoping that it doesn't rain. So we are meeting early in the morning to make some decisions. We will make that decision. That will come from either Craig or from the high school, probably around 11:30 to 12. So that decision will be made for the evening early because we have to set up.
Could you tell us what happens if it does?
So if it rains, hopefully it won't. If it does, then we will move to Friday night at the same time, and if not, it will be Saturday morning. So the hope would be Friday weather looks much better than Thursday weather.
It'd be 7 o'clock.
7
We'll be
o'clock.
there by 6 o'clock.
Yes, the board needs to be there by
Saturday morning would
6
be-
o'clock.
What time do we know?
9.
9, okay. Be there at 8 o'clock, that's early. Right, some other things, Kevin and I asked Dr. Kephart about some, board training, so we have been discussing that, she was gracious enough to write it down for me, so I didn't have to remember all this. As a new board, it's important for us to establish a strong foundation and commitment to our work as a team. Kevin and I asked Dr. Kephart to research some facilitators to assist us in the creation of our board commitments. After looking over the list and talking about the outcomes, Kevin and I requested that she contact Dwayne Martin from Ed Council to see if he was available. Currently, Dwayne is a partner and lawyer with the educational law firm Ed Council. You may know him from the podcast that he does that are excellent. He's been representing school districts since 1997 and been facilitating similar work through MASA and MSBA for the last 10 years. He and his team have also presented at MSBA conferences and some other conferences throughout our state. He is great to work with, and I think he'll be an excellent facilitator. So in speaking with him, he would like to work with our team for 2 3-hour sessions during the summer months to create a board operating manual, which John and I have talked about a number of times. That could be revised and updated with every new board, but we would be the ones starting. We'll label these as work sessions so the public may attend, but they will not be full meetings. So I will be working with Julie and Dr. Kephart to provide some summer dates. It would be important for us all to be committed to those as much as possible. So ultimately, Dr. Kephart will present Dwayne with a few dates to choose from since he's coming from Kansas City. So a little more about him. He's a first-generation college graduate who values the critical difference public educators have made in his life. Those educators directly impacted his professional life and instilled in him a passion for public service and government affairs. He served as one of 30 students selected nationally as a Center Fellow with the Center for the Study of Presidency, Publishers of Presidential Studies Quarterly. He's also a recipient of the George C. Marshall Award, sponsored by the Marshall Foundation in honor of one of America's truly selfless public servants. He served overseas as an Army officer, returned home to Missouri, and went to law school. He also served as editor-in-chief of the ABA's National Quarterly for State and Local Government Law, including scholarly works regarding public education. He also served as judicial law clerk at the Missouri Court of Appeals and as an assistant attorney general. In private practice, he's represented public schools his first public school district in 1997. He dedicated his practice exclusively to the representation of public schools since 2002. And he's represented schools in state and federal court and in state and federal administrative bodies. His experience in the field is unparalleled, and he works every day to support and defend public schools and their leaders. He and his wife Wendy have 6 children, all of them are students or teachers in public school. So we will be working with Julie and Dr. Kephart to come up with some dates for workshops this summer. I would encourage you all to come if humanly possible, because it would be just a good thing for all of us. So, any other comment on that?
No, I did check on some availability. He's pretty open this summer, barring some big cases that he may have. So we'll look at dates and provide quite a few dates for you all to try and rally around and find those.
Next on our agenda is executive reports. Dr. Kephart.
All right, for our first executive report, I'd like to have Mrs. Anderson talk about our new resource request. This was in request of the board that we change our practice, and she's going to share a little bit of the change in practice with resources. Hello again. So what we will plan to do each month that we have resource requests that are new resources is I will try to compile that document that was attached with live links so that you can explore the resources, and if there's access codes, you'll have access to that, and just a bunch of information the first month. And then the next month, ask for approval through consent. So if you have questions the first month, we can talk about those. This month, all I'm bringing is Math for the Trades, which is a new course, and you've had access to that link. I do have one physical book that you're welcome to look at. This will be implemented in middle school, and it will be part of the Expo Wheel. And then the other resource I'm bringing forth this month, we are in the revision cycle for fine arts, and the music teachers have a request for a new resource, it's Spotlight on Music. And the Math for the Trades does not have recurring costs. It's $725.72. But the Spotlight on Music would be a recurring cost. However, that's roughly $9,700 for 4 years. So that is the 2 resources we're bringing forth this month. We will ask for approval next month. Are there questions about these 2 resources? I would also like to highlight that early this week, our teachers did make a decision on what they felt would be best for math resources for next year. And so my team has removed, actually Ms. Majeski has removed all the resources that we will not be moving forward with, and then the ones that we will be asking for you all to consider, and they are behind you. So, and that will come in June, is that correct? That will come in June. She will be here with me to present. She's led that charge, and it has been extensive this year. Tons of feedback opportunities, and we will be making 3 shifts potentially, but I'll go into more of that next month. I would love to talk to you about it this month and ask for approval next month. We can get ordering done, but we didn't have all of that established in time to get you that information right now, but prior to this meeting being open, so it came about early this week.
Just one comment. I appreciate you guys in the middle school adopting Math for the Trades. I hope that the high school sees value in that, so as we transition from middle school to high school, there's a transition phase that makes it happen.
We will continue.
A lot of, probably about over 100 high schools in the state of Missouri have that. So hopefully we'll be able to transition that into the high school level.
It will definitely be considered.
I think this is fantastic, because I use this in my personal life every day. So I think,
Environmental. I would echo what Scott said. I think this is fantastic.
Quick question, is for 30 students, is that just one class that is gonna take this because they're taking other math classes, or how does that?
They, 30 students is just how, 30 books is just how many we needed to cover that, because they're more like classroom sets that they would use.
Okay, all right, so not each student would get it, is there
It's an expo wheel, so it cycles.
So they'll roll through it every 6-8 weeks, however long they're in school?
Yeah, whatever the expo wheel cycle.
Okay, and is there a link to, is there any, screening?
Online resources, we are,
Yeah, the interweb stuff.
we are not getting the online, the teacher did not want the online for this particular course at this time. It's brand new, so we're building it. And then our next one up is Mr. McCullough and some facilities updates.
Mrs. Julie Bell was criticizing my presentation. She said I need to take some classes because it's not as colorful as Ms. Fernandez's. But I think it's about the information, not the color. So, first of all, I just want to cover a couple of our 419 projects, which is from our bond issue from 2019, and just give you a quick update what's still remaining with those. So obviously you've been to South Point, and Matt did a great job of talking about how wonderful that building is. We still have a few remaining items to work with. Cole, which is our bid package 1. There's some areas back by the playground where they have to fix some erosion wheels. They've got an area back by the fence that needs to be cut to grade. It's causing some erosion, installing some erosion blankets, and they still establishing grass. They did finally get out. They brought a subcontractor out today to mow finally. So we got that taken care of. I went up there last week, and there was some kindergarten classes playing hide and seek in the grass. Well, we got to fix this. So hopefully we'll get to take that over one of these days and get mowing it ourselves. But we're still waiting for the grass to be established. And then with K&S bid package 2, I think the main thing that's still hanging out there, they've got some roof overflow drain pipes that needs to be affixed. That came with a change order. They've got 3 of the 17 done last I checked, and so we're just waiting for those to get. So we can go back, go to the next slide. That just shows you the pictures of a couple of things that I'm talking about. You can see there where it needs to be kept at grade, that corner, and then that's some of the erosion drills that are being caused because of that. So obviously we don't want kids running around breaking their ankle on that, those types of things. And then for the middle school, most of this is done. So the light fixtures are finally in and operational. The 4 boxes have been installed. The shades are working. I've tried those today, and Miranda asked if that just happens automatically, but no, you have to have a button. And the exterior lights are still need to be installed. The metalwork is complete. As far as the vestibule, the only thing that's really left is the interior doors and the mullion posts that are being installed, and they're waiting until school gets out so they can do that. We still need to run natural gas to the science lab for Laura's Bunsen burners. And one issue we still have to solve is the Dell's air conditioning machines in the tech room are very noisy for the counselors right next door. It sounds like a jet engine taking off all day long. We tried insulating, it helped some, but we need to get a specialist down. There was a guy that did some stuff for us out at South Point. We're going to bring him down to do some testing to see what we can figure out for him, because it is, one of the counselors said she's used to it and doesn't notice it anymore, but it's very loud. So we need to address that. And then as far as baseball softball complex, obviously this isn't bond issue money, this is local funding. Building demolition is complete, or nearly complete. We did run into an issue where the current contractor pulled up the footings, and they were probably 5 times the size of normal footings. It was amazing how, I think he estimated one of them to weigh 90,000 pounds. So we worked with him, and the facility committee was gracious enough to come out on Friday, and I think we have a pretty good solution where the current contractor is going to break everything down to no larger than 2x2 pieces. And then the subcontractor for Vernon Jones, the potential subcontractor for Vernon Jones, was on site, and he's got a plan to crush that down to fine material that they're going to use to fill the lower spot where they're going to need to bring it up to grade. So that, in one way, I'm sure will be an add to the subcontractor, but in another way, keeps them from having to haul material in to do that fill. So I think it ended up a problem, maybe ended up turning into a pretty good thing. So I drove by there today, and they had their machine there breaking it all up, and we're we're making some good progress. But if you haven't been by in a while, I encourage you to drive by Old South Point and look at that property and the size of, well, there's a picture of it, right? So it doesn't really do it justice. It doesn't do it justice, but some of those concrete slabs and things were quite large. So we're making good progress on that. Jason from Vernon Jones says they're ready to come out and get to work. I believe Vernon, the current contractor, should be wrapped up Friday, because he's still on back for that, of this week. So Jeff and I will go out and make sure everything's appropriate and done properly before we turn it over to Vernon Jones. And then next is some projects that we have this summer, and why I wanted to bring these up again, these are already approved, but in your consent agenda, there's a couple of ads, and so I wanted to take a minute to talk about those, because we discovered a few things this year that need to be addressed sooner rather than later. So already approved at Campbellton, restoration of the roof section, and replacement, a couple of HVAC replacements. At West, the new metal roof is complete, I believe, we're very, very close to it.
I wasn't there today, but it's very close.
It's very close, yeah. So, the color's off a little bit.
My wife told me it was done today.
Okay, today. I knew it was very close.
Done.
And so the color's off a little, but it's those rest of the roof's sun faded, so it's something up a little bit. Four Rivers, we're gonna replace the boilers, and then a huge unit over the welding shop that's been giving us a lot of problems. We've been meeting with our welding instructors, and that's a very, very popular class. There's a lot of students in there, and we've been having some issues that this new system will help take care of for us. And at the high school, what we've already approved is restorations of two sections of roof, B4 and B5, gliders, counter flash, and downspout patch rails, tuck pointing on the back side of the building for the most part, and replacing some doors. What we discovered this spring, I believe it's a couple of our mowers noticed when they were mowing in front of the high school, is we are also having some issues that will require tuck pointing in the front part of the building. And there's a picture for you of just one section of that. So basically it's from the counselor's office, the doors by the counselor's office, all the way down that front side to pretty much the west wing. But it's starting to cause the window sills to heave, and we do not have water in there yet, but it won't be long. So while we have WTI and crews on site this summer, one of the things in your consent agenda that I'd like to ask is to go ahead and approve a change order to get that front side of the building to be taken care of this summer as well, along with the back side of the building. So that's one consent item. And then at the middle school, restoration roof section C3 is already approved, replacement of 6 RTE rooftop units. And then also at the middle school on a much smaller scale, but there's some areas that we discovered there as well. I believe above the gym and on one of the sides. And so we'd like to ask for the change order to do some additional tuck pointing at the middle school while they're on site this summer. And other projects, so we have an issue with our fiber, especially on Bluff Road, on Old 100 towards Labadee, and on, I believe, towards Campbellton's another side. There's some areas where the fiber on the line is only ours. Now, when we share, we have an agreement that those are taken care of, but especially there's some areas that are only ours. And I know this picture's real, I was driving by, I stopped. I wasn't driving, I stopped. You can't really do it justice, but there's literally some points on Bluff Road where the fiber's probably, 20 feet in the air, and by the time it gets under this part, I can reach up and touch it. So it's gonna come down sooner than later. So we released an RFP, trying to get tree trimming services. We budgeted $50,000 a year for 3 years, and we got 0 responses. Project's not large enough, we don't have time, we're backed up, so we went to Plant Team and met with Glenn and Jeff, and we have a bucket truck, and they're confident that they can handle this themselves, especially in the off season when they're not mowing, but we do need a wood chipper. And so there's also an item in your consent agenda. Glenn's been asking for a wood chipper for a number of years, so I think he's finally got a good excuse to ask for one. So we have a proposal in there to add the wood chipper. There was some questions about safety. I forwarded some information today about the safety elements on that on the machine that we're proposing. Also some training that Jeff will put his guys through, because they're going to use it for more than just the tree trimming projects. But we'd like to ask for approval for the purchase of that fresh chipper as well.
Questions for John?
I appreciate you answering the questions on safety in regards to staff time for it. I heard you mention that it would be on an off-season on mowing, which is a pretty hot season we're getting into.
Right. So this is likely, I mean, we are short-staffed, and that is a concern. But at this point, I don't know what other options we have. We can't get a vendor to do this for us, and it's gotta be done. All right, so in the off, when we're not mowing, Jeff has his guys do a number of things. They fill in for custodians when they're gone. They help with maintenance, they do other things. But primarily, when it comes time, it would be Glenn and his ground staff, and this would be their focus. At least in the areas that I have in this picture. I mean, there's some areas where we've got to get taken, because next ice storm, our fiber's coming down.
Right. And then, in addition, you mentioned that tuck pointing need at the high school. Did you collect 3 bids for that as well?
We bid that through our cooperative purchasing, through WTI. So they do the bidding for us. It's all state contracts, and follows all the bidding requirements. And the positive to that is, to be a member of the consortium, these vendors will offer competitive prices because they want the business. And so, yeah, it's, I can send you all the bids. Come and get that, sure.
Any idea on amount of man hours this tree trimming business is gonna take?
No, I mean, if we're doing it alongside the road stuff, there's pretty much 5 people need to be out there and stuff. You got 2 people flagging cars, and you got 1 person in the bucket truck cutting, 2 people dragging brush to the machine, so, Love Road and stuff, it would be probably a week-long project, probably over there. It's not a real big section, but that's where the grapevines and stuff are hanging and stuff. That's been an issue and stuff, that's been noticed since 2019, the first time I put in a work order about it, but we didn't have any way to really address it, so.
Any questions?
Well, it's good to be on this side of it versus, oh no, the fiber broke, what do we get?
We were holding our
Anytime
breath.
it gets real windy.
We were holding our breath on the ice storms.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Jeff. In the consent agenda, is there any items to be pulled from that?
I'd like to pull 7.17, the AT&T Business Local Calling Plan.
Okay. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these unless one is desired and has been pulled, in which case the items pulled will be discussed separately.
I always forget to turn my mic on. Since there has been one pulled, the remaining items will pass by unanimous consent. So we are at 7.17, the calling plan, Mrs. Brinkley.
Just wanted to say it's not often that we can read something here that has such good news. And I didn't want to overlook that according to the bid process, and John, you could probably speak to that more, but according to the bid process, it looks like we're going to save $1.2 million over the next 36 months, because it's my understanding that AT&T, we kind of review that every 3 years.
Yes, and so we're coming to the end of a contract with AT&T, and fortunately, they reached out to Robin. It's not something we had on our radar, and of our lines, the information's in there. I'd have to pull up to tell you the cost, but in conversations with Robin, like, if you'll sign an extended agreement with us, we'll keep you at this price, and if not, then this is what it's going to go to.
Right.
So we obviously have to take advantage of that and extend that contract.
Yeah, well, thank you for looking into it, and please thank Robin as well. So that's a terrific savings. We'll take it wherever we
She
can
must
get.
be watching because she just texted me.
Okay.
And she's on vacation.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Robin. Well done. We'll always
Thank you,
take
Robin.
an extra 1.2 million, so.
We'll say, I spoke with Chris today about this AT&T bill, about the hotspots, and she told me they're reviewing those, or that we may be losing some of those out of necessity, I believe.
So the hotspots were part of federal stimulus money, and now that that's running out, we are cutting that down to the bare minimum. Yes. It's quite expensive.
Thank you, John. Any other discussion? Is there a motion to approve 7.17?
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Sorry.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 7.17 passes. To the financial report, that is in the documents for review. Let me get there. They're informational only. If somebody has any discussion or questions, feel free. All right, citizen comments. We do have one non-agenda comment from Jenny Mears. Jenny, I think I'm supposed to say that you have 2 minutes. We will not comment on these. Please do not mention names to it. Thank you.
Good evening again. On behalf of the Washington CTA, I want to thank all of our board members and administrators here for the time that you've dedicated to our students and staff this year. Our organization just wants to spend a minute, as we have done each month, bragging on school, and we get to talk about Washington West, who we are here about tonight. Each month I reach out to our members, so I talk to our membership at Washington West and ask them what makes them proud to work in that building. This month, the teachers at West shared their success of the house program, which you've heard about. They're really excited about how it encouraged belonging and citizenship in conjunction with the Blue Jay Code. The staff and the students are looking forward to seeing this grow, like Ms. Hunt talked about. Another point of pride was seeing graduating seniors return to their building. They had over 40 seniors return for their senior walks, and so the teachers felt like this was a point of pride, that clearly these students have made positive memories at the school that they wanted to come back and celebrate for graduation. So we're wishing all of this year's graduates the best. I want you all to know student success is so important to our organization, as well as teacher success. So I'm really proud of the work that we've been able to accomplish this year in collaboration with our district administration and with our NEA. When we all work together, I really think we make great things happen for our students, staff, and the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Any comments from the members of the board? Any committees that have any updates to share or any other comments?
I'd just like to add, the varsity baseball, they did, although they lost out on the districts, they had a heck of a season, and just say, good job to Coach Goff, and hopefully we'll have our own brand new field next season.
Yes, that would be great.
I just want to say, I'm sorry. I've enjoyed all the tours that we've gone on, all the teachers and staff we've got to spend time with. It's been a different year for us coming out of COVID, and I just appreciate all the time that you all put into scheduling those things and taking the time to take us through. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a busy month, but a great month with all the award nights that we've all participated in. I want to thank my fellow board members and administration for making sure that we are represented and we are there between Four Rivers and high school and ROTC and all the kindergarten graduations, the FFA. Thank you for anybody who participated in the Wings Picnic. With that being said, Wings Picnic did generate $3,900 in raffle revenue and $11,000 in barbecue revenue. They also, with Teacher Appreciation Week, sold 227 flowers, which was about $754. And with those funds, I think this year they've awarded 18 $2,000 grants in the classroom. So that's $36,000, and I think here a couple weeks ago they did them in the classroom, had some kids help get the excitement going for the teachers. So those are great things. They are taking Hall of Honor nominations and will until September. We do have a golf tournament on June 17th, so if you want to put a golf team together, we'll take you. If not, you can come out and eat. And if any business or individual or Board of Education would like to band together and do an all-event sponsorship, we'd be more than happy to take those funds also. The last thing I have is the MSBA conference that we have in June. As a delegate, I will participate in the delegate program. If you go out to the MSBA website, they do have under the resources tab and the delegate tab, they do have our MSBA advocacy positions, which were revised in November of 2021. Those will stay there, and then they will be revised in November of 2022 when we have our conference in Kansas City. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll say to Ms. Anderson, thank you for always letting the teachers approach you with their desire for continued education, and also with Wings making that possible for teachers to have that funding. It's so critical, and I'm really grateful that we have that. As John alluded to, I think since the beginning of April, it's been 23 meetings and tours, and so I really want to thank Dr. Kephart. We did a number as tours as a board, and then I asked for additional ones, and she handled it very graciously, and that was wonderful to walk through all of those schools and get to meet so many teachers in person and walk in classrooms. So that's just invaluable to me as we continue to work to have those particular schools and classrooms in mind. To the public who's always wanting to get involved, we always need subs in the schools, and I think we heard that, even Jill out washing dishes and serving, and it's just really amazing to see the staff serve on that level, but those that want to help our community, that's a terrific way to do that and actually get involved, so we would welcome that.
I will say the Wings food was fabulous. Okay, our next board meeting is, absolutely.
Sorry. Yes, Mr. Kephart is still enjoying the Wings barbecue, and we took some frozen. On an aside, as talking about our sports for spring, we have track that will be in several events on Friday for state, so we will be sending them off to state tomorrow afternoon, late morning. And then I want to be able to note we have 19 retirees so far this year, and that with a total of 343 total years of service in education. So that is a contribution to who we are as a district, but also to our retirees. Out of 343 total years. That says a lot for our retirees and the service that they have had to students. So we will get a chance to celebrate them at the retiree breakfast on Tuesday, next Tuesday the 31st. We will do our retiree breakfast at 7:30, and then we have closing ceremonies at 9, from 9 to 10 at the high school. So board members, if you would like to attend closing ceremonies, they're going to be just filled with being able to highlight our staff and the work that they have done. Short and sweet, but celebratory and showcasing our staff. And then I would like to echo the thank yous as well. Certainly the thank you to board members who have been to our many events. It is noticed, and our staff really appreciate you being there, as do I. And then certainly a thank you to both Jenny and Jamie and CTA. It's been nice this year to be able to highlight our buildings at the end of our time at board meetings. So we start with our we start with our principals, then we have Matthew highlight our schools, and then we have CTA. So it's just such a nice way for you to see a glimpse into schools that you don't get a chance to each day. So we appreciate that, appreciate our staff. Like I said, I'm excited to be able to highlight them at closing ceremony and be able to thank them finally, to have them all in one place, since we didn't have opening ceremony together. So have them all in one place for finishing up the first year for me. So I appreciate it. Can't believe that we're on our last day of school on the 27th. So half day tomorrow and half day on Friday.
No problem. I was going to say, you have made it the first year. That's wonderful. I hear nothing but fantastic comments from the schools. The teachers appreciate you very much. You're very visible. You're very approachable, and just a fantastic asset to the district. Thank you. Okay, our next board meeting is June the 29th. Executive session at 6 o'clock, and followed by a regular meeting at 7. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second? Anybody? Second. Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.